Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. We are at Melbourne Central Station, a very not actual main central station, underground here. This is platforms 1 and 2, but there's another platform further down. And in here there's some express escalators which take you straight down there, but you can't get on them. This is part of the City Loop, which has several stations, also at Flagstaff and Parliament underground. And then of course Southern Cross and Flinders Street, which we've seen many times. But I never actually filmed the journey within the City Loop, even though it's just in the tunnel. There's a train on the other side right now going to Hurstbridge. They are building the metro tunnel, adding more new stations, pretty much adjacent to the current Melbourne Central and Flinders Street stations called State Library and Town Hall. Which is going to increase capacity by having the HCMTs run down there between the Pakenham, Cranbourne and Sunbury Lines. But for the moment they're still running in here, which actually won't be seen anymore. But there's actually none this weekend, there's a shutdown, which is why they're actually running a weird shuttle, which is what used to run prior, like a long time ago. They used to run the City Loop shuttle, which just does a loop around the City Loop stations and literally nothing else. So just the center of the map. They're running that to replace the fact that there's no Pakenham and Cranbourne train. So I'm gonna board that today. Hopefully it'll be emptier than every other train that's in the City Loop. Now all the stations are very similar like this. They have 4 platforms with 4 tunnels, and each tunnel is completely segregated from the others with no connections between them, for the 4 groups of lines that run through. See? To what? Oh, to Parliament. But that's so confusing. To Parliament, yeah. But then it goes back to Flinders Street. That's so weird. The announcements are confused because that's something they don't usually do. But yeah, all the stations are just like this, 4 platforms, and they're on 2 levels, and it's quite confusing because some of them switch directions in the middle of the day to get commuters in or out in different directions, but some of them don't, and that's also been changed recently. So again, I'm gonna direct you to a Tate set video to figure all that out. And here we are above Melbourne Central Station. There's this awesome looking roof and an absolutely massive shopping centre. There's like 6 stories here. Look at that, all the way down. So many people. And it extends all the way from La Trobe Street, where Melbourne Central is located, onto Little Lonsdale Street. This is the whole Melbourne Central shopping centre precinct, and you just go all the way down and the trains are literally right underneath. That's how convenient it is. That's why it's like called Melbourne Central. Let me show you this. So first we're gonna go down this escalator here. This is level 2, but there's 5 levels above the ground, and then there's also lower ground and the basement for car parking. So really it's like, what, 8 levels? Crazy. Yeah, 8. Unbelievable. You go down here. Actually technically 9, because there's this little bit in between these 2 escalators with 1 shop. That's level 1 right there, and further down, this is the ground level. This is the lower ground level, and there's Coles right here. And this is the entrance to the train station. Well, actually there's 10 levels, because there's 2 further down for the train platforms. And you come down and here we are. And you can go further, of course. This is usually the Pakenham and Cranbourne platform where the HCMTs are running at the moment, but won't be anymore once the Metro Tunnel opens. But today it's just a City Loop service being run by some random X-Trap or something. It's on the other side. Over here, it's just an X-Trap with special on the desto. And it literally just goes back to Flinders Street. Now, I'm not supposed to be filming in the loop. They actually have quite a strict ban on recording in the City Loop. They always get so angry and start talking on the PA that you're not allowed to, because it's just usually so busy, so they just completely ban it, but everywhere else they don't really care. Anyway, that's why I'm not showing you the stations in full detail, but they're pretty cool, just underground like that. Now just a special up there. I'm just gonna film this since I didn't film the City Loop in any other video, but it's really just a tunnel, you're not going to see much. Oh yeah, and actually you're not going to hear the announcements now, are you? Oh well. So here we're turning right to face south, and then it's Parliament Station. And then after that you can go out towards Richmond or Jolimont, or back towards Flinders Street like the Sunbury, Cranbourne services usually do. And what we're gonna do. Now all the City Loop stations are really like old and dated, so I'm really glad for the Metro Tunnel. I'm gonna bring some more modern stations compared to these ones here. But once you figure it out, it's not that hard to understand. You just need to know the different patterns and where the platforms are. They're always gonna be in the same tunnel and on the same platform. Alright, we're gonna resurface now. Every point where you resurface, there's only one tunnel resurfacing there, which is why they all have their unique trains operating and it never changes. And we're literally already at Flinders Street, right outside.
It's a very noted thing. It was advertised
I think it's just this one train running the loop, because it's like 20-minute frequency, and that's about how long it takes. More like 16 or so minutes, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel like I wasn't set it over the loop because I was a bit drunk, but when we were at the depot telling me, I feel like everything was been stuck in. I don't know, it felt weird. Basically, I ended up getting shitty again because I was like, I didn't know at all, and Val was there and she was getting shitty as well, so I didn't get it. But basically, she just, how'd you get in? At the back, she said it was faulty. It wasn't, it was like a tiny bit projecting it. She got the dress for like $80. Yeah, exactly. And she's sitting there and saying to me, she's wanting a refund, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So it's a stretch goal. She said that we can't, like, this is part of it that's on sale. We can't do refunds for it because it's just a non-fact. Everyone respects it. It's a, it's kind of what it is. Yeah, that's one.
Yep, now we're at Flinders Street, where they usually originate and start from, but it's just going to get filled again and go around the loop again. So I'm going to continue till we get back to Melbourne Central. Film backwards a bit here where it's a bit emptier. There's a Siemens over there. There's actually no HCMTs in the city today because Pakenham and Cranbourne Lines are closed, as I said. Well, not all the way, but in the city they are. And I found out there's actually 2 morning peak services on the Sunbury Line which are run by a HCMT, which is so weird. HCMT, or just like me being here 2 weeks, it already feels so wrong to have a HCMT going up there, especially to such a kind of regional area, and I'm so used to just common just going up there. And there's so many tracks here as well. I think Tateset's also made videos explaining all the junctions at Southern Cross and Flinders Street, so that's also something you can watch to understand it better. This is the only properly outside section of the City Loop between Flinders Street and Southern Cross. You can see all the South Bank skyscrapers there, and then you go up in the viaduct, which is also a video about that you can watch. There's so many videos. Definitely a very nice ride through here. And you actually also go right behind the Sea Life Aquarium, which there used to be a lot of advertising about it on the building, but now they've removed it all and you can't really see anything anymore, which is quite silly because it was such a prime location for that advertisement. Right here, this blue wall. It's just a plain blue wall now. But that's the Sea Life Aquarium. Yep, South Bank building is definitely looking nice. That is not the CBD, that is on the other side of the river, just some extra little buildings. The main CBD is on this side, but you can't really get that great of a view of it. That's a sharp curve again because at the moment we're facing west, and then it turns to face north before arriving into Southern Cross Station. And that's Flinders Street right there with all the tram lines. There's a Velocity going to Ararat. I forgot where that is. And we're coming into Southern Cross, probably like platform 10 because we seem to be quite far east. Even less than 10, 9. We're on platform 9, yep. Well, what is that color? Oh, it's red. Yeah, I think we're on the Hertz Bridge, Burned Loop, yeah. departing. It's very empty right now because it's Saturday evening. Well, not late enough to have party goers yet, but just the time where it's actually quite peaceful at Southern Cross, unlike I'm used to it. Still racing with that Siemens from Flinders Street up there, but we're going down now. We're not going to see it anymore, into the tunnel and back into the City Loop. Now it's weird because there's basically one station on each side of the rectangle of the loop, but then on the top there's two, and they're very close to each other. In fact, if you stand in the tunnel, you can actually see Melbourne Central from Flagstaff, or Flagstaff from Melbourne Central. But that's okay, because it's definitely like the busiest part of the CBD, so it's warranted to have stations there. I can't believe the City Loop used to not exist. Like, all the stations are so central. You definitely need it. In fact, I'm quite annoyed there isn't some sort of more central train station on the new metro tunnel in the more middle of the CBD, because all the trams are always packed. But I know that would mean then there wouldn't be interchanges with Melbourne Central and Flinders Street, and you can't really build all three stations, because then it would basically just be a non-stop continuous platform all across the bottom of the CBD, which would be stupid. Anyway, here we are at Flagstaff. And straight over to Melbourne Central again. So yep, it took about 18 minutes. And we basically didn't even wait at Flinders Street, so that's around how long the loop takes, which is actually quite long, honestly, considering it's just a little loop around the CBD. Now watch how short this section is to Melbourne Central. Departing Flagstaff, still inside there, and it's just like 15 seconds. Like 20, 25, but yeah, here we are. Melbourne Central. Feels longer than I thought, but you can see them. That was way longer than I said, but you can see them from the station, so it's weird that it took that long. Anyway, we'll get off now. We did a full loop. Which is quite funny. You spent 20 minutes on a train and got back to where you started without ever turning directions. And yeah, you can see up there in the far distance there's a light, and that's actually another train already at Flagstaff. Actually, I just realized there's a sign there which says Clifton Hill, which is the Melbourne and Hurstbridge lines, using this tunnel as normal, / City Circle Tunnel. So that train is exactly in the tunnel it's supposed to be in for doing the City Circle, which is quite a historic sign from when that was actually a normal service to run regularly, but now it's just when there's disruptions, meaning that there's a very limited amount of trains in the loop, so they have to add more in. Anyway, literally 1 minute behind here is now a Mernda service. That's so long though, I do not want to go back up there again. I'm sick of all the train lines after having finished them all. Especially sick of X-traps as well. The same people I saw before are still waiting here. That's how terrible the frequency is, that they're still waiting for it. The HCMT in this tunnel looks so good and fitting, honestly. Even though it's such an old tunnel, but I mean, it'll definitely look even more fitting in the metro tunnel. But it's so sad they're not gonna run here anymore. I hope it at least happens occasionally, not like completely never again. And then you also have these crappy old comminges. Well, not crappy, they're pretty cool, but these run in the tunnel as well. This one actually is refurbished with a good screen. Anyway, that's it for this video. Just showing you the City Loop. Bye!
Yeah, it was a